The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that former president enjoys sweeping immunity for their acts while in office, significantly impacting Donald Trump prosecution for allegedly attempting to subvert the 2020 election. Chief Justice John Roberts stated that the president may not be prosecuted for exercising his core constitutional powers and is entitled at a minimum to presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. The ruling dismissed parts of the prosecution's case against Trump, including his alleged efforts to use the Justice Department to support unsubstantiated election fraud claims, and unusual because it just imposes limited fines or prison time and is in line with other punishment for criminal offenses. Prosecutors cannot inquire into Trump's motives and cannot use his official acts as evidence for unofficial ones, making it challenging to hold a trial before election. Tom.
Well, I think John Roberts got it right. And his quote, may not be prosecuting for exercising core constitutional powers. The left is freaking out this morning because they are missing that phrase because they're in denial. They don't want to hear it. Core constitutional powers. In other words, if the president is acting as a president, you can't turn around and use a law later to say, hey, I'm going to get back at you. And by the way, over the course of the springtime, they also reference this lightly in the ruling for Colorado because they says they can't create that the states and the Congress can't be allowed to create what was called electoral mayhem. What do they mean by that? That means if I don't like your guy, I'm just going to start prosecuting him. I really don't care. I don't like what I don't like that executive order on this. I don't like that. So I'm going to come after you. And so the dissent by Sotomayor was disingenuous at best. She said, oh, we have kings now. So you're a king. You can do whatever you want. You could have SEAL Team 6 take out an opponent. That was ridiculous hyperbole from Sotomayor because, of course, that wouldn't happen. If the president used an assassin squad to assassinate a world leader, which is a technique that happens around the world in elections in different countries not named the United States, that's it. So I thought Sotomayor's response was bad, but this is the Supreme Court getting it right. And what we have here, forget that it's Donald Trump, if you can. Judicial activism has been struck down now 3 times this year to let our processes and our democracy and our constitutional outline play out.
By the way, you know what is scary for Democrats? How many seats did he flip on his first term? Rob, can you raise my audio a little bit? I'm super low.
I think 3.
How many seats did he flip on his first?
3. Neil Gorsuch.
Yep.
Amy Coney Bryant.
Yeah.
And
Amy Coney Barrett. Yeah. That was 2.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh.
And then Kavanaugh.
Yeah. So check this out.
How can I forget Brett Kavanaugh?
So he's got 2 more that he could potentially flip if he wins. Do you realize if he flips 5, that's potentially 30, 40 years of sanity that will be ran because they'll always protect the decisions that will be made on what happens. Adam, your thoughts on the story?
Well,
the Supreme Court.
Let's start with the fact that Trump just had the best week ever. You talk about after the criminal charges were weighed against him in New York, look at what's happened since then. He's raised how many hundreds of millions of dollars? He's raised Biden, which is new for him. The debate, which we'll talk about today, what a disaster for Biden. I mean, we'll have that whole conversation. And then the coup de grace right here, the Supreme Court is like, he's good. Like, you can't go after this guy. So the Trump camp could not have a better week. So if you look into this situation right here, we talked about, this is like probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we talked about the fact of who has the most power in America? Which entity?
Virtual governments,
right.
The president, Congress, billionaires, yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we didn't have the president in the top 3. We had tech companies, we had billionaires, we had...
I see where you're going.
All of a sudden, the president looks a little loftier than ever. And it's not about Trump, and it's not even just about Biden. It's sort of raising the executive office to what is now known as absolute immunity. Now, there's a difference between absolute immunity and what they call presumptive immunity, which we get into the weeds here a little bit. So basically, here's the bottom line with this. Anything within the official executive roles of your job is completely unquestionable. and it deserves immunity. So, for instance, you can't be prosecuted for any actions you take doing your actual job, i.e. national security, i.e. intelligence, and wait for this one, foreign policy. So people are like, George W. Bush is a war criminal. It's like, well, based on this, they're not really going to go after him. Obama and the drone strikes. Nah, that's not. It can't be, Trump, January 6th. No, it's all within his official duty. Now, what is not within official duty, these presumptive immunities, like, how Trump, one time he said, if I shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, no, if you shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, like, they're going to come after you. Or even Bill Clinton with sort of the sexual harassment stuff, that's not within your role of executive privilege. But this was a great week for Trump, and this was the coup de grace.
You know what? The first thing that came to my mind when I saw this ruling, Tom, we were all texting in the group chat, was Clarence Thomas came to my head, and how yesterday's ruling must have been like a day of joy and vindication because of the history of him and Clarence Thomas and Biden. Think about the history between them. Thomas confirmation hearing, Tom, in 1991, where Biden was the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And remember that embarrassment and the hell that they put him through. And Clarence Thomas called it, he said it was a high-tech lynching. He said,
correct,
for uppity blacks who in any way deemed to think for themselves, do for themselves, to have different ideas, you will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured by the committee of the U.S. Senate rather than being hung from a tree. And Joe Biden was the main lyncher. He was the head of that committee. And I think yesterday, Pat, what a comeback. 30 years later, Joe Biden thought that he was going to ruin Clarence Thomas's career, and then Clarence Thomas gets the last laugh. And this is, I think it was a documentary, how he's saying here that Joe Biden has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Can we see this?
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, Robbie. 30 years later, Joe Biden thought that he was going to ruin Clarence Thomas's career.
Hold on.
Was
that Clarence Thomas or Vincent?
I think that was Clarence Thomas, or that might have been me in my own head.
My
No, it's all good. Here we go.
Welcome to the blinding lights.
Look at that smile.
Finding out what you mean when you say that you would apply the natural law philosophy to the Constitution is, in my view, the single most important task of this committee.
Senator Biden was very focused on natural law. How did that go?
Who knows? I have no idea what he was talking about.
I just want to make sure we all know what we're talking about here. You and I know, at least, what we're talking about here. There's a fervent and aggressive school of thought that wishes to see natural law further inform the Constitution than it does now, argued against by the positivist led by Judge Bork. Now, again, that may be lost on all the people. You know and I know what we're talking about.
I have to be perfectly honest with you. You sit there and you have no idea what they are talking about.
What's the last part?
All I know is that he was asking me these questions about natural law. One of the things you do in hearings is you have to sit there and look attentively at people have no idea what they're talking about.
I had to cut that together because think about Tom, how amazing is it that the tides of history turn, and then how good Clarence Thomas must feel 30 years later he waited, and the decision that they're making is for a highly politicized.
And by the way, you brought that
let me
back.
ask PBD a question. I want to get PBD's opinion because he even weighed in, and I'm going to circle back to the State of the Union. Sorry, Tom. Just 3 short months ago, Biden literally lectured the Supreme Court. You remember that? And they all just sat there, frozen, almost solidified as one voice. At this point, the Supreme Court, the chickens have come home to roost. Thoughts on this Supreme Court decision, and ultimately Clarence Thomas and John Roberts.
So a couple things. So one, remember when Chuck Schumer told, I want to say Rachel Maddow, hey, Trump going after, what do you call it, CIA and all these guys.
6 ways of Sunday to come after you.
6 ways of Sunday to come after you. Okay. Guess what? Probably a good idea to have a good relationship with the Supreme Court. It's probably not a good idea to go lecture them like they're kids, and you do it and you publicly humiliate them while they're sitting in front of you and you're the president. I don't know if that's a good idea to do that, right? And even AOC came out and she said, I'm going to be asking for the impeachment of Supreme Court. I don't know, did you guys see this or not?
What is he talking about?
But let me tell you guys this. Here's the thing that no one's talking about. So, okay, immunity for the president. Here's a Simple question for you. Adam, Tom,
sir.
Vinny. Let's face it. Which president in the next 50 years, left or the right, you think is going to be using these privileges more? Presidents on the left or the right?
On the left.
Exactly.
Totally.
So to me...
They don't get their way, they try other ways.
First of all, when I heard this, I'm like, oh, shit. I mean, I get it right now. You're going to celebrate and be like, oh, you said Trump.
Yeah.
All right, go to 2038. And so, well, the president's got immunity. Well, the president's got immunity. Well, there's Republicans. You guys wanted this. Trump. So why are you upset? He's got immunity. He's got immunity.
Exactly.
And you're going to have to eat your words.
Yep.
Just letting you know. So do your victory dance and whatever you guys got going on. Great. And I understand the part where I agree with this, but it's so risky, is that, look, you know, these guys have to have an element of decision making without worried about shit. Freaking the moment I'm done being a president, I'm going to jail. Then I'm not making any decisions. So you also don't want a president that's going to be risking making decisions, because an indecisive president is bad for a society and a nation, right? I'll give you sports, okay? I would never want an NBA team. I would never, ever own an NBA team. Why?
Even for a good deal.
I would never own an NBA team in the current guidelines that they have, because the owners always get screwed because of the contracts. The owner, the way the contracts in the NBA are set up is in a way that owners have to pay no matter what. I mean, it's so many different guys can be like, well, I'm not going to be playing. I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I don't feel good. Eventually, you know, where the Pelicans were able to put a contract together for Zion Williamson, where he was forced to play and had to be under a certain weight. Think about how technical you had to be to create a contract that you had to keep your weight a certain level to get your full pay. I am not a fan of the way the NBA players. So when they said, well, we got to do collective bargaining agreement, Players Association won today. The Players Association won. Yeah, you know who lost NBA? Who? Fans. I don't watch regular season games.
Nope.
You know what's the only regular season game I'm going to watch this season? When they say
Christmas Day or something?
No, Bronny James being in. I just want to see that moment with father and son.
Cool, man.
That's it. That's the only thing I'm going to be watching regular season. I don't give a shit about the rest of it. So yes, players may have won, fans lost. So yes, this may be good now, but I'm telling you right now, conservatives on the right will be complaining about this for the next 50 to 100 years, way after we're no longer here. They'll abuse this in many creative ways, and they'll put it in your face.
Yeah, I have three super fast points. Point number one, you read AOC's tweets, and what you can see is how the left is arrogant. They are so arrogant. Our decision is the right decision, and to hell with the checks and balances, to hell with the constitutional authority, the way it works. We just want to invoke our will, and if we don't get it this way, we should get it another way. You read her tweet. Point two, thank you for bringing up Joe Biden in that hearing. You have to remember the third day of the hearing, how Joe Biden looked much, much different. It's because a little coterie of individuals came and visited Mr. Biden, Senator Biden at that time, led by C. Boyden Gray, who is the chief counsel for Bush Sr. And they presented to him things he had written in the Wall Street Journal about busing. We all know about that article. And they said, we think they should reprint this and compare it to the position and statements you're taking yesterday. And so that's when Biden turned and went the other way, because he realized he had just driven down a dead-end street. And so he deserved to be called out. And that was Biden with racist tendencies about the way he wanted schools to continue to be segregated. I mean, to be, completely segregated. It was horrifying. And the third point is, Pat, you're right. What I read yesterday is that Watergate, Nixon is still guilty. Monica Lewinsky, Clinton is still guilty. We have to be careful here, because the left is going to push over and blur the lines of what they go after. They want to go after anything. They don't think they can get their way here. You're absolutely right. And that's what they're going to use it. And fortunately, the Supreme Court has put a protection, not a protection, a confirmation that the protection has already existed.
So Tom, I'm 45. You're 49. You know, we have all our, we're
all in our 40s.
We're in all our 40s.
God bless you all.
Yeah. But here's what I want you to think about, okay? So let's flip it. Let's say the left Supreme Court, they have it 6-3, and it's 2054. Okay, what's 2054? 30 years from now. Okay, and now they have immunity, and they have Supreme Court 6-3. What do you think they're going to be doing? Well, how do you think they're going to be? What do you think they'll be applying? What do you think they'll be implementing? So it's very easy. Anytime when we're running a company and, we'd be running an initiative or a new guideline for the insurance. We're going to moving forward. We're going to do X, Y, Z. This is what we're going to be doing. I'd sit there. I'm like, guys, this may be good for right now for the next 30, 60, 90. You know how big of a problem this is going to be in 5 years? There's no way we can do this. We're not doing that. Even 2 weeks ago, we made a decision. Remember 2 weeks ago when I wanted to do something with a contest and you kind of like, we were in a room like, what if we do this? I said, no, this is good for the next 2 weeks, but it's going to destroy the habit in the next 5 years with what we've done in a placement, persistency, all these things that we've improved.
Consequences and reflections from the forward, and you have to say back.
Yeah. So I don't know. Right now, celebrate, because I'm sure, people are single-minded. The fact that, hey, as long as he gets in, that's all I care about. I totally get it. Celebrate that. But I'm telling you, long-term, in 20, 30 years, you'll be remembering this day, and you'll say, they're abusing it. It was never meant to be abused. The immunity was never meant to be abused. What do you think they're going to be doing? What do you think they're going to be doing? You're giving them the green light to abuse this new ruling.
Yeah, Trump didn't win. The Constitution won. But they're still coming after the Constitution.
Yeah, I think the focus right here is Trump, but the real story here is the power of the Supreme Court. Remember when Trump ran in 2016, like he was sort of campaigning to the evangelicals? He's like, you and me, I might not like Trump, but there's a little something called the Supreme Court, and we're gonna fill the court with conservatives. This was the whole abortion debate, and he was absolutely right. And then when Biden won in 2020, there was conversations of what, Pat? You remember this conversation about packing the court? All right, there's 9 justices. We're going to add 2 more to even the balance because it's 6-3 right now. So Biden is going to pack the court and, bring on 2 more judges and sort of even it out. But basically this does the following. Supreme Court has massive power in this country. We think that it's just the executive office or just Congress, but just they're waiting in the wings. There's 3 branches of government, the executive, the judicial, and the legislative. But the judicial power, you might not know all their names. You might not know what's going on, but behind closed doors, Supreme Court running this country.
Massive announcement. Would you like to meet Dwayne Johnson at the Vault Conference? Let me tell you how. We announced our last Manette contest, which was absolutely insane. We were together at the Cigar Lounge till midnight. We had some of the best, I wish that was recorded. We had some of the best conversations together. Dinner at Casa D'Angelo. It was such a big hit that we're announcing the 2nd official Manette contest. Listen up, everybody. This is big. First one was a big hit. This is big, and it's going to get bigger and bigger. Again, like the last one that we announced, there's going to be lightweights, middleweights, and heavyweights for experts to compete in. For users asking questions, maybe you've never downloaded the app before. Anybody that hasn't downloaded the app as of July 1st, this contest is as of yesterday, July 1st. If you've never downloaded the app Manect, you start Manecting, you're going to be competing against other people for Manecting the most with others. A Manect is you ask somebody a question and they get back to you. So there's going to be a lightweight and a heavyweight. Lightweight is somebody that's never downloaded the app Manect, and that starts as of yesterday. You download it and you start Manecting. And then heavyweight is somebody that has Manected before, July 1st, and you also compete against people that were competing prior to that, right? You guys will be competing. Lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, then you have users and experts, each category. Top 3 will be what we're going to do this year that's going to be slightly different with this Manette contest. Top 5 of each category will be invited. If you attend the Vault Conference, you'd have to buy the ticket, travel, everything yourself. But we'll be announcing winners at the Vault Conference. You'll be walking across the stage, nearly 1,000 people in attendance. You'll be walking across the stage, and everyone will be publicly recognize you at the Vault Conference. On top of that, first place on each category, lightweight, middleweight, superweight, heavyweight, of experts and users. And a lightweight expert is somebody that's never Manected before. You download the app and you start sharing with your audience, so they start asking questions. First place of each category. At the end of the meeting, when I'm having a conversation with The Rock in the back, you come to the back, you meet The Rock, and you take a picture with them at the Vault Conference. On top of that, you'll be invited to a special dinner that we're having at Connect. You'll be invited to the CEO Lounge at the Vault Conference. And then aside from that, all of those names that we mentioned, you will be escorted by a sprinter to my hotel, and you'll come to my suite, and we will spend a couple hours together talking, strategizing like the last one. All I can tell you is the last one we did was a massive hit. This one's going to be bigger because you're getting recognition in front of everybody. And even the top people of winners, we're going to put your Connect QR code out there so some people can connect you from the community of Valuetainment and Vault community, which is a massive community. So there you have it. The contest started yesterday. If you haven't started connecting yet, download the app, start connecting. Heck, who knows? I think, Vinny, how many Connects are you away from 3,000?
Right now, I am 2 away from hitting 3,000.
Wow.
Hey,
Moments away.
Let's see if you can go pull up that QR code, Rob, with all the people on the. Go Connect now. Be the first one to get Vinny to 3,000. Send a Connect to Vinny to get him over 3,000. He passed up Tom. Tom, I think, is only about 20 or 30 away from getting to 3,000. Adam just got to 2,000. So download the app, start connecting. Cannot wait to spend that time with you guys at the Vault Conference.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.